the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Okay, it is the 5th of March, Tuesday evening, 5:30 in the evening. We're in the Town of Bath Municipal Center. Can I have a roll call, please?
Scott Murphy,
Here.
Susan Webster's here, Elizabeth Skinner, here, Mary Lynn Hickey, here, hey, all right. Rebecca McLeod, here, Greg Sheen,
Here.
Tom Hall.
Here.
Everybody's
We're in good shape. Can we have the, look at the minutes from the meeting February 21st, 2024? I'll take any additions or corrections and a common consent if we can. Everything looks good? All right, common consent? All right. Okay, we're gonna move on. We don't have any persons before council. We'll move on to communications from the mayor. We look like we have the community garden meeting. That's gonna be on the 12th of this month at 2 p.m. here, right here where we're sitting right now. So, do you have any other announcements on that? Just, okay, all right. Okay, and I just want to let people know, there's some people that have been calling here. I wasn't really going to do it, but the food truck event is not being handled by the town of Bath. Food truck event's going to be handled probably by the chamber if they so move. So I just want to let that, there was no agreements or anything signed for us to take that event over. We don't have the manpower. So just to let people know. I would love to have the manpower to be able to do it, bring it back. But we just don't have the manpower here at the town of Bath. So we thank the chamber for being willing to do what they've done with it. And hopefully they'll continue it, decide to continue it, because I think it is a good thing for our community. Maybe we can move it around somewhere other than downtown, center of town. Maybe the depot or whatever, but I would implore them to work with it because I think they have a better of setting it up, getting it organized, getting it together than the town of Bath. So, like I said, I appreciate them and everything they do, but we just don't have the manpower to do it. So, all right, let's move on. Bath developments. My dear, do you have anything to speak to us about?
Working on the website and we do have a meeting scheduled.
Yes, I see that.
I don't know if I'll be in attendance. I hope they'll do it by Zoom. So we'll get the Zoom going up and going. Hopefully.
All right. Well, that's going to be tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
at 4:30 at the courthouse. So, and they've got Zoom or in person. Okay, moving right on down the line. Parks and Recs.
So there's not a whole lot really going on. Bitty Bunny just ended this past Sunday, and we're just working on getting the fields ready for baseball.
Good deal. Anybody got any questions for Park and Recs?
No, the Bitty basketball championship games were pretty exciting.
They were exciting.
Yes.
Well, my granddaughter was on one of the teams, but they made it all the way up to the end and then lost and did good. So I think it's a real good thing.
It's
Tell
great.
Parks and Recs that you're doing a really good job, and we appreciate the update in person. And if you can keep coming or kind of do that so you keep us, so we can advertise it also to get people, kids involved, because I think it's a great thing.
especially on town-owned property that you have parks in town, the North Berkeley Park and the Visor Street, the Henry Park. We like them, the actions in there too.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Planning Commission, I don't see Larry this evening. So their next meeting is going to be the 14th at 5 p.m. here at Town Hall. So Rails and Trails.
All right, you have the report I sent in.
here.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that. What's new is talking with Mark Skula, there really has been a commitment now by DOH to have their in-house construction organization, which is called SendForce. You can find them on the web. You can find out what they did. They like to do things that become successful and actually get done, which is good. I mean, they built a bridge for the Cass Railroad and put it on, and they opened it
Yeah,
up
that's a
again.
big deal.
So that is a big deal. So I would say these guys, and you know, there's a a long shot picture of the group that did the bridge, and it looks like the kind of guys that did the bridge. What stands in front of this is we're kind of like number 5 or 6 on the job list for this group. It's going to push it down. Gary Greeley appears to have found people to build the bridges. More than one that could do it. So that will likely get solicited. These are not the same bridges that caused the bids to be so high. And Karen Allen's working on the age of the permits to see if they can slide under the current. So that sort of stuff's going on. All that tells me they're serious. It's not going to happen
At this
fast.
point, it's getting embarrassing for them.
Well, I know that. We don't use it. Anything new? I sort of send the information out to the task force. The same stuff we got here. The idea is you don't need a meeting to do this. You just need a couple of us to keep track of what's going on down south. Moving on. Let me do the streetscape stuff, and then we'll get into the what's going on with the park and
Right.
the consent agreement. In the conference call last week, Josh Vincent kind of set the cadence for how do we get to a contract award. This is the first time I've seen him do it. So they're after trying to get into what will be the announcing for the May 7th letting. That's opening of the bids, which means you've got to get the package out to everybody before that. So we're now going to do that. The final drawings have been shipped in. A couple of glitches with them that have to be fixed. I've talked corresponded with Jeff Gola to put that on the front burner and get her done. Because with a May 7th bid opening, should it be under the budget, there's a good chance all the work can be done before Apple Butter Festival.
Okay,
Right now, that's not a promise.
right.
That's a target. That's a goal. It'll be what it is, but I'm just going to keep pushing on it because it's not that complicated. We should be able to do it. And I'm just going to jump on Thrasher to make sure that's number one job because I don't want them to take the hit for being late.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Now the state park, we did finally get the results of the walkthrough, and I'm going to send those items out to the foundation and the park superintendent. But that means is they're still on, the Lauder's still on contract to finish off those items. Nothing really major, Joe. And then on to the violation notice. This is with the Department of Environmental Protection. The notice affected the presence of sediments and such in the stream early on in the process. You know what I'm saying? You want me to keep going?
This was a result of the contractor not implementing adequate sediment controls at the beginning of the project. They knew that they had to do dewatering. They had to build coffer dams and dewater the area that they were going to be pointing the rock wall and where they needed to replace it. But they should have done that for any of the debris that they were removing, the sediments, the debris bars. And they didn't. They didn't do any of that. And so we received a notice of violation.
That,
The town received a notice of violation because we were the sponsor for the project.
and that notice had 3 things in it: failure to notify, and then the actual floating sellable solids, scum, foam, oil slicks in visible color, which happened. And in my view, when you look at this, and the details will come out later, and you will hear that we're assembling them now. My recommendation was that, number one, that we take, there are two options in the draft consent agreement. And one of them is to just take it as it is, to deal with it. The second one is to request a meeting to try to formulate what is the right thing to do as a result of that. And I think because in looking at the violation and looking at what happened, the whole truth is on the table. The Division of Highways is not even mentioned in the draft consent agreement, which is not correct. Right? The town is the holder of the permit. Brings with it some freedoms to do the work and some obligations to deliver. So what I am proposing, and I think what we should follow is, number one, Mayor, you should sign a formal letter asking for a meeting. That meeting, in accordance with what they've sent us, could happen in the next 30 days. So we're getting ready. The second thing is to take, usually when something happens like this, something in the chain of events didn't happen right. It's the same thing with almost anything. When there's an incident or an accident, in what is a fairly routine endeavor, something didn't go right. So I put together first a timeline. This is a factual, what happened, who was involved, and what day did it happen. That set of facts. My intent is to send that to DOH District 5, since they were managing the contract, that because they're in there, you cannot separate them from this. And to get an agreeable timeline that both DOH and us agree to. This happened. It's not subjective, not whimsical. This happened. And we have documents for that. And the second one is there are requirements for the behavior of the contractor during the work in the stream. The requirements flow from the drawings to DOH erosion and sediment control manuals to other things that basically set requirements for behavior when you're working in a stream. So that document has been put together because I can trace a set of requirements right from the Thrasher drawings down through the DOH manual, which is mentioned in the drawings, blah, 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 go all the way down. And you finally have a chain of requirements that you hope everything in that chain actually got done. So that has to be worked on. My intent is to send those two documents down to DOH tomorrow, along with a copy of your signed letter. I think we should let the mail deliver the letter first and send them a draft or something. It's only fair. To get started with an engagement with DOH. I've put and suggested that the town is in the lead on this. Why? Aren't we somewhat a victim here? Well, the town owns the permit.
Yeah.
And the permittee gets the hook for freedom to do the work and responsibility when things don't get done. DOH is, that'd have been a hug nearby because they were improving, they were exercising that. And what we found out, there was early dialogue. The DOH people on site were told to do something relative to what was going on in the run, and they were told to report it before that inspector came to town and before there was a notice of violation. That's part of the timeline. Right? So the whole idea is everybody reveals what were they doing. So and we're doing that for Rebecca. She is my point of contact here on sort of just the arms and the legs of trying to do this. At some point, there will be some engagement with DOH that we'll sit in the same room and talk about this. Okay?
Okay.
I don't think it's okay, but this is my best offer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's best we can
work
come up
through
with.
this, work
Right.
through
Yeah.
this.
You should get, at a minimum, get the fine reduced substantially,
Should get eliminated.
and the contractor should reimburse us.
Yeah.
I agree.
As, since this was going on in the background, as one of the 22 closure items for the contract with DOH and the park, number 22 is the lottery gets to still support what's going on with the consent order. In other words, they are not free of that. It's still, they're still on the hook.
Right.
The contract.
That's the lottery.
I think we learned with this that when the town signs on being a sponsor, that it's not a little thing.
Well,
It can be,
no, it's not.
it can be big.
Well, if everything goes well, but
Yeah, if everything goes well, it's just, that's great.
well, the thing is, I don't think the town could have ever ducked out of being responsible for the.
Yeah.
the-
I always thought it was whatever political subdivision the event was happening in, the project. I could be wrong, but
I'm not sure whether the park and DNR could have been given notice because they weren't doing the contracting.
state property.
Well, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's all we can do now.
I mean, but
So let's
the-
follow through with that, and I'll sign this, and
Yeah.
we'll go for
yeah,
that.
that'll help. I think the idea is if we're and behaving like the town is in charge of this. That we're not waiting for DOH. We're the permittee. We're the ones that this violation and the cure notice was aimed at.
Right.
So rather than try to deflect it,
Just hit it
I
head
said,
on.
we can deal with this.
Okay.
And in the long run, this may give the town a certain more authority in events because of, if it's your permit, you get to play a little deeper.
Well,
Who
I'm
does
cranky
what?
about it.
Well, we should all be cranky
I'm
about
cranky
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll set it down and see if they'll have a meeting with us. Maybe we can resolve it that way.
Well, yeah, we don't know. But
Yeah.
my sense was to get us and DOH into the meeting with DEP at their inspector level, somewhere in the next 30 days, likely in Charleston. We've been to Charleston before.
Yeah, it won't be the first time. So, okay.
All right,
All right.
and we
Any
want,
questions for Pete?
No, thank you, Pete,
Okay. Thanks, man.
all right,
Appreciate it.
very much.
All right, moving on to Train Depot.
Okay, the next meeting is March the 21st, which is a Thursday at 4 PM. What we talked about at the last meeting was some, amplification of a different grant availability, and also events that we could do. We did have an application to use the depot property, but that kind of fell through. But along those same lines, I have talked to an entertainer about doing shows in the depot, railroad shows later on in the year, which would be great. And we have all, often the town has had events in later May, like the weekend before Memorial Day. And then last year, there was an event with a private business, the Trail Depot across the street, had something really great on Sunday at their business. And it turned out that we felt like hundreds of people through the depot introducing the property to those folks. So I'm starting to talk to this committee about those kind of things and getting activity going and exhibits and things like that too. I talked to them and asked some of the members, Jim Bailey specifically, to look into traveling exhibits. You can have traveling science exhibits, traveling history exhibits, the birth of the state of West Virginia, born in rebellion, Hatfield McCoy story. West Virginia Music Hall of Fame has an exhibit that travels through the state. So things like that to couple with the depot and just make things happen down there. Of course, we have the landscape. Do you want to talk anything about that?
We've got landscape designs for the stormwater area, and we'll be starting tree and shrub planting to celebrate Arbor Day between the Warm Springs Watershed Association and the Bath Tree Board on April 27th. There'll be more information coming out in posters. We're working on that now. And then, I'll be ordering plants for the perennial beds and, hopefully getting some help with installing those.
So that's what's going on at the depot.
Good deal. Any questions for Susan or Rebecca? All right. Well, let's move on to the Landmarks Commission. We have a volunteer application, Melissa, and she has been waiting in the wings to be put on or come on the committee for the HLC. So I don't know if anybody on council would like her to speak. We've got her application here. It's been here for a while, so I don't know if you have any questions of her. If not, I would ask council to make a motion that we would put her on. She stepped over and let our last applicant come in. She would have been on the council or on the HLC. She stepped over and let, I can't remember his name.
Ken.
Come in. So it's her turn. She's been faithfully attending meetings and helping. So I will let council, if council wants to.
Motion to approve Melissa to the Landmark Commission.
Second.
I have a second and a motion on the floor to bring Melissa into the Landmarks Commission. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You are now an official 100% member.
That's right.
So,
I really gotta do the second.
unfortunately,
You are welcome, Melissa.
yep, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for stepping over like you did, and letting Ted come on and everything a couple meetings ago. So we
Now come your
appreciate
official
that.
tattoo.
So, okay, let's move on.
Scott, just so you know too, some of the people are not here today because they are in training for the CLG training that the
Okay.
SHPO is putting on.
So that's.
They're attending
part
that
of what
today and
we-
tomorrow.
We had in the
Yep.
agreement, so, okay, good deal. All right, clerk and recorder's report. Madam Clerk, do you have anything for us?
The only thing I'm requesting is that we do a budget revision that goes to the state. We are moving some of the funds around between the departments to cover expenses before you approve the bills, please.
I have a resolution. This is a budget revision that's going to have to ask for auditor's approval like this. This is a resolution, I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2024-03-01. And this is, the subject of this resolution is the revision of the levy estimate of the town of Bath. Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and second for the resolution 2024-0301. Any discussion? All those in favor? Although we gotta do by raising hands. All right, you wanna just go around the room?
Yeah, I'll just mark everybody down if they say yay or nay.
Okay. Beth,
Yay.
Tom,
Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
okay, yay.
Mary?
And Mary.
Mary?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Whatever that was.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right, anything
And then we
else?
have the schedule for the meetings for the budget preparation.
Yes, and what we have on, let's see, March the 11th is Public Works and Revenue, correct? And I'm remembering this. March 12th, 13th. Wait a minute, let me see that. Okay, what we have is, okay, Revenue and Public Works will be March 11th, 2024 at 1 p.m. here at Town Hall. Public Safety will be March the 13th at 1 p.m. here. And then we're having the overview on March the 18th at 1 p.m. And these are all of our meetings. We go over each department to ascertain the best path to go towards producing a budget to go to the state for its approval. Then it comes back, we wait for that approval, and then we move forward with the next steps with the budget process.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No.
If not, we'll move on to finance. Let's pay some bills.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the Town of Bath bills in the amount of $26,867.57.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor to pay the Town of Bath bills in the amount of $26,867.57. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pass the Berkeley Springs Waterworks bills in the amount of $25,472.14.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs water bills in the amount of $25,472.14. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
I make a motion that we pay the tree board bills in the amount of $5,600. I will add to that this is a reimbursable, and it's to help them make good on a grant bills that they have to pay, that they will be reimbursed in the town.
For treatment of trees. Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second to pay the tree board bills in the amount of $5,600. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the streetscape bills in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the streetscape bills in the amount of $25,000. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
All right, thank you.
No problem, thank you. Tree board.
Do you have any, we've been doing maintenance.
We've been doing maintenance, taking down trees that pose some risk. The risk was not immediate. Although there was one tree that had become a danger. These are in the cemetery. We're currently working on a 3-year plan to present to the council. This is required by the ordinance that was recently passed. And it's, even if it weren't required, it's really helpful in terms of making estimates of how much money we will need in terms of grant money for future years. A first draft of that 3-year plan will be presented probably on March 20th.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Moving on, grants. Mary, you got anything?
I got a report for you. So just today, we submitted an application for the 2024 AARP Community Challenge Grant. And the purpose would be the purchase of 2 streetlights bookending both ends of the train depot, which are already pretty much wired and ready to go. They just need the streetlights. Thanks to Pete and Rebecca, who gave me all of the specific cost information I needed and was able to put in the grant. So that went in today, and we expect to hear late May about that. Also in the works right now is the historic revitalization sub-grant that SHPO had made us aware of. And these grants, which by the way do not have don't require any match, they have an award range between $200,000 and $750,000. And these grant funds can be awarded to historic properties in our town's CLG district community to preserve and to rehabilitate the properties. So the deadline for that application is March 19th. We will get that in, and I attended the last HLC meeting and gave them an overview of the grant and the progress. and we'll be getting a technical assist from Carly Swaim and perhaps others for the pieces I don't have the information on around that need to be included in the application. So appreciate their assistance with that. And those are the two really right now that are front and center. The next meeting of the grants committee is next Monday, March 11th at 4:30. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. All right, we're gonna move on to public safety. Our next meeting is gonna be next Wednesday at 4:30 here. Chief, do you have anything to report or anything you need to talk to council about? Okay, all right. We have a few things that we're working on, and we'll be back probably next meeting. We'll have the information that needs to come out to council. So anyway, everything's going along fairly smoothly, so I'm tickled with that. So anyway, let's move on to cemetery.
Our next meeting is next Tuesday, March 26th. And Kate, do you want to talk about the Arboretum application or?
This is very, very tentative, but the Division of Forestry Urban Communities has a grant that's being made available to communities or neighborhoods that are below the poverty line. The idea is to increase or preserve tree canopy, educate the community, improve the health of residents, citizens, students. What we're looking at, and as I say, this is very much in development, is to turn that 5-acre wooded lot into an arboretum. And I've spent a fair amount of time in the wooded lot. Well, first of all, Craig Dean said that the trees are about 95% native, which is good. There's second growth forest, which is also very good in terms of stormwater management. By creating an arboretum, it would protect the trees for a long time. I don't know if you could say in perpetuity, but it protects the trees. I looked today about what would be involved in creating a path, not anything like the rail trail, but an area where, say, the cross-country team could run, or people who are interested in getting a good workout could walk. It's about 0.20 of a mile, so a little under a quarter mile, and that's weaving back and forth. Basically, because the area is pretty overrun with a deer population, the forest floor is bare. Most of what will be involved in creating the path will be to pick up the woody debris that's on the ground. And I've been talking with Beth about other things we could do to bring people into some portion of the cemetery to view it as more of a park-like experience, and an area that we know doesn't have any graves and is, in a way, it's a very essential part of the cemetery, but it's not, is the area from the rain garden up to this arboretum. And so if we say put in picnic tables that would encourage people to come and eat, benches. I don't think this is a high dollar. We would be putting tags on trees to identify what they are. That's one of the definitions of an arboretum. We might put in a few educational kiosks, say outside of the arboretum, maybe one up at the top to encourage people to go all the way up. But we can use a QR system that would be on a post, and so people with smartphones, which is most people nowadays, could do the QR code and read about why forests are important for stormwater management, for example. So Fortunately, the grant deadline, application deadline has been pushed back because the federal government requires a couple of documents which both the town and the Watershed Association have. The Watershed Association is also a part of the discussion at least. And at some point, we'll make a decision as to who will be the primary chair. Watershed Association can't do anything without the town of Bath's approval. We have a cash cushion, which gives us some advantage. But again, this is really up in the air. It's not, we're just exploring a lot of questions. But we think we can create an area that will be for the community's health and well-being, for the education. High school students could walk, down to Greenway and go up there and have classes. So I think it's a project that has a lot of promise. Rebecca's my budget person, but I don't think it's a high budget item, and I believe it's probably a project that we could improve upon or continue. This would be phase one. We could have a phase two at some other point. I know at one point Beth talked about how great it would be to have an arch and entranceway and maybe name it after, was it Tom Wall, who was
Erin Hendrick, Tom Wall.
who was so very, very instrumental in the work of the cemetery. But again, these are just ideas, and obviously no decisions will be made, no proposal will be submitted until the council has given approval.
And we would also seek input from organizations and families that have loved ones buried there to see, that if this is something that they think is appropriate or would in any way deteriorate to the respect that the people buried in Greenway deserve. So it's a good way, it's a good thing to think about with the 5 acres that are sitting there unused that could benefit the community. As long as it was done in such a way that it would not in any way detract from the well-being of the cemetery itself.
I wish you all the luck.
It's a good idea, huh? So,
We think we can get watershed improvement, was it WIP? This is a far-reaching, this is a project that potentially is very far-reaching and helpful to the town of Bath as well as to the cemetery.
That's great.
it's a good idea.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
You want to talk about pavers for Greenway Cemetery?
Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget something.
Oh, yeah.
I
thank you.
did the,
For Greenway, for the,
For the German.
German.
Foxglove would like to do path through the Dutch cemetery in conjunction with the layout of the burials there. And I talked to Rebecca, who's the keeper of our pavers, and she said as long as she said as long as the pavers, the bricks are used for on town property for a town project, there's no issue with this.
in a historic area.
And
Yes,
in historic
it's
area.
all the things.
I don't know if we need a motion. I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move that we allow the Foxglove group to use historic pavers in the Dutch cemetery.
Second.
Having a motion, yeah, Tom, have a motion and a second on the floor to let the Foxglove
Very nice.
Club,
Gardening Club.
Garden Club use the pavers. And I'm gonna say it, they came off of Fairfax Street that we were mandated to keep to use for future town projects. This is a wonderful thing to use for future town projects because those pavers are still in excellent shape. And I think it's gonna be a great thing. I'm just adding that. Any discussion? I will call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, one little add-on. I was passing by the Dutch cemetery the other day, and there was a young couple in there dressed up. I mean, suit is like they had been somewhere and they just left and took a walk into the problem was they were coming out and the young lady was wearing stilettos.
Oh.
She sank and she was trying to clean her shoes off. You can't walk in dirt with stilettos. But anyway, I thought, boy, those pavers would really
Yes.
come in handy right now.
I think it will look great.
So, and it'll look great.
We actually have a project that we could use those papers for. So,
Sharon, if you could please contact Fox Club and let them know that they have.
okay. Is that all for cemetery? We good?
I guess the only stipulation with the pavers is they've got to move them themselves.
Yeah.
Hire somebody
Yeah.
to come
They
and get them
can
and bring
use
them
some
to
of
the
the
cemetery.
pallets that are down there.
So,
And they are stamped with Fairmont, West Virginia on them. So,
yep, that'll be nice. I think that'll be real nice. So,
But we can cooperate with helping them do that in some way. So,
good deal. All right, we're gonna move on then to Public Works.
The sidewalk review was completed by Public Works staff, and we will be looking at that at our, over the next month, and then talking about prioritizing what we need to do in terms of repairs using the sidewalk review. We had to do some additional repairs to the Freightliner garbage truck, so thank you very much for moving the budget into the garbage account so that we could pay for that. We've been looking at the cost of maintaining the equipment, and I want to thank the staff for completing an inventory and analyzing all of the information as to the maintenance repairs and how much we're spending on that. That'll help us with the budget that we're going to be working on next week. And that's it. We'll be looking at trying to plan on repainting the curbing, the yellow marks on the curbing, now that it's springtime and the weather is cleared.
All right. Any questions for Rebecca? All right. Well, let's move on to ordinance. then.
Ordinance, and this is more of a pressing issue, reviewing our current water tariff with the addition of capacity improvement fees. The fees, the important part of the fees only apply to new construction, residential, commercial, industrial. And this will allow us financially to keep pace with the development that is going to hit us hard along the bypass and also along 522 South with the water extension project that's going to occur out there. The fees can be applied to if there's a residential development and they're building 60 houses, they would have to pay a per unit fee to the Berkeley Springs Water Works in addition to their tap fee. Currently, if a developer came to town and they wanted to build 60 townhouses, their total cost for doing so from the Berkeley Springs Water Company is what, $850?
Yes,
$850
per tap.
per tap. That would be a single tap for 60 houses, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be it. So the capacity fees will allow us to attach a fee to every single unit that's under construction. And again, it only applies to new construction only
Or new customers.
or new customers as well.
That will allow the water department to recoup some of the installation costs priorly to get water to those residents.
And to bear the maintenance
Yes,
costs that come
Yeah,
along.
and then the continuous maintenance costs that are prevalent.
Yeah, it's critically important because, we have a single water source. This also includes a secondary water source. It's a very complicated process. But we have to really have our eyes on what's going on. And I'll let Tom share the rest with his points for whatever. Yes.
Now, you said, right now, the way it's written, if I want to put in 60 homes, I get away with one tap fee. But you're gonna do it for every,
60 townhouses.
now, does that,
No, it's not a tap fee. It's a
I
capacity
understand.
fee.
but now that you're charging that fee, does that now make the town or the water department responsible now to run water to each of those, like run the main line and tap it now to each of those 60 homes if they're single units? Because if you're charging, I'm just putting it out there, because if I'm tap it into the main line and I'm responsible for the whole development? Or does that now put you guys on the hook for the whole thing? For every tap off that main trunk line?
For every tap that's on there, for every new tap that's on there, there will be the tapping fee and now the capacity fee. The capacity fee is a one-time charge, as is the tap fee.
But does the capacity fee make the town liable for the lines they run in?
Oh,
inside?
yes, we are liable for those lines.
I mean, you have to put them in.
Yeah, we have to put them in and we have to maintain them.
Okay, I didn't know if the
Yeah, yes.
developer put those in as part of their infrastructure or not.
They put it in from the meter into the unit.
Each
So-
Service line.
Yes.
If it's a rental and it's just 1 meter, then it's just one tap fee. But the capacity fees account for all of the water usage.
But if you get around.
If it's an individual home,
10
each
homes.
one has to have their own meter.
And that cost is 850 standard as stands currently, or?
Right.
So the increase would be a percentage or
Per
straight?
unit.
Right, that's applied, the capacity fee is applied to the per units that are in a development project. Which will, it basically allows us to stay even with the expenses that we incur by doing all that. We would lose money on every single unit.
So,
Kind of sounds like that, though.
so currently the way it's written, if I wanted to put in 25 homes up at my house and say I had public water, which I don't want, I would only pay the one tap fee, but then you still have to run the lines and tap each of my 25 homes into it, and I don't pay a separate tap fee?
No, you have to have separate taps for every owner occupied unit.
Or rentals?
If it's a rental, that's a different situation. But if they're separate, you'd still have to have separate ones. If you had a townhouse or an apartment building, you could get by with 1 meter. You would be paying the bill. So that would be one tap fee. The town has to extend
Okay.
water lines to applicants where they can afford to do it and where it's within reason to do it. So we can't necessarily turn down somebody that's adjacent to our water line if they want to tap.
Okay, so this is more for townhomes that someone could say, I'm gonna rent them out and pay all
No,
the
it's
water.
for
For
everybody.
everything, yeah.
It's for any private home too.
I was just trying to figure out
A
how
new construction.
you can
New
get away with
customer.
still one tap fee, but you have to run the lines. to
A brand new
20 different
customer.
homes.
If there's a home already out
Existing
there and they
home,
want
but new
to
customer.
tap in, yeah.
Because a single tap into one multi
Unit.
unit would definitely, the capacity would be much greater than single family occupancy.
And right,
Yeah.
the reality is, if you get these large projects and we're responsible for repair and replacement, if anything breaks, and you can imagine the cost. It's $850, you're giving it away.
And this
Laying
is just within the town of Bath.
No,
No.
Wherever we provide water.
wherever the water department is.
Which is throughout the county.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am, along 522 currently. But the capacity fee helps the water department to recoup the costs for the main lines that we have to lay in the ground so that we can tap those and provide water to the new individual homes.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's being.
I just wanted clarification.
It's being
Like,
done
I could've
elsewhere,
put 600 units in
Shepherdstown,
and I
Berkeley
couldn't
County,
tap
yeah,
fee?
this is not new, it's just us playing catch up.
No,
The only other thing I have, the next ordinance meeting is 3/14, not 3/21 at 4.
All right, thank you, Craig. We're gonna move on to waterworks. I want to real quick just make an announcement. We had a water main break, or actually, it was drilled into. Our guys from the water department worked for 2 days. They did an excellent job. I'm tickled. They took and got the job done. So I want to just thank all of the guys that was out there. Got down in that hole in the cold water, digging around the line so that we could get a clamp around it. Sometimes fail to let our people that work for us, for the council in the town of Bath, know that we really appreciate them. And I really appreciate everything they did out there that day. and the next day. So if you see one of our town water guys, out and about, Roy's or wherever, thank them, because they do, when there's a water problem or a water line, they get down in that hole and that water's cold coming out of there, but they'll dig with the backhoe as far as they can go, and then they got a hand dig around that line. And that is not an easy job. So, all right, Tom, I'm sorry to take your
Thunder. No, it's not thunder. But last week, folks, was one of the days that a water department has nightmares about. And of course, it started in the morning when the power company's contractor moved on site and started drilling holes for the new pole configuration out here on 522 because of the roundabout. And when they drilled down through an 8-inch ductile iron pipe and
ignored the markings that were on the ground.
Did they call before you dig?
They did. It was March.
Well, and there's some real, but the issue is that the power company sent their supervisor out and I met with him and talked with him as I was there probably within an hour of the incident transpiring. And I told him, I said, under normal circumstances, someone from the power company calls the water department, lets our people know so that we can have an inspector on site when they start drilling these holes. And they did not call, and we had no one there. We didn't know that they were actually starting drilling that day.
They started early. They said they were going to start the next day, and they started the day before.
And the scenario of the deal is that lack of communication caused an issue. And that issue was probably for the first time since I've lived in this community, there was a boil water order. Now, the boil water order was for south, from Sheets south. It had nothing to do with the core area of our community, which was a good thing. But Mr. Mayhew followed the protocol. They did the sampling, and within about 30 hours, the water was safe to drink, and the boil water order was lifted. We are getting ready to face the same issue again because the highway department is getting ready to lay the loop around the roundabout. And the section of line that was penetrated is going to be abandoned. And so they were out there today laying out where the new water line is going to go outside, thank God, of our existing line. And that line is supposed to start going in the ground in about the next 5 days or next 6 days. So we'll be facing a shut-off period again for the folks south of town. We will keep everyone in a communication loop so that the folks in the county know exactly when the water is going to be turned off for connections to be made to hook the new loop back in. Today we had a meeting with the county and with Warm Springs PSD on our 522 South project. I think some air was cleared at the same time. We need to ensure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted so that this project can move forward. And the council will be making that decision probably next month.
In the future, yes.
Additionally, the water department lost two employees. But we lost 2 employees, and we are in the process of hiring 2 new employees. Tomorrow at our water committee meeting, we'll do one quick second interview. And from there, Ms. Sharon and Mr. Rick will be completing the interviews for the 2 positions, one at the water plant and one in our business office. And we do have multiple resumes for that. I think pretty much that's it. Our next meeting for the water department committee will be tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Yes, Kate.
I wondered about who was called. People on Wells received the call about the water break. Is that because they have landlines? Were all landlines in the area called, in the affected area?
I do believe so. Now I was told that a called, went out as immediately when the leak happened. And then from the county, there was a
Yeah.
county-wide,
And they can't, they cannot, like we can put certain areas in for our system to call out and say, okay, I have a problem with the water line. County can't do that. It's on the 911 system. So once they put it out, it goes to everybody in the
That's-
county. It went to Paul. It went everywhere.
yes.
Okay,
Because
that's
we had
really-
people calling from down around the Berkeley County line that wanted to know and whether
What's
they
wrong
had
with
to
my
boil
well?
their water in their own well system.
Yeah.
So, that's something that we're gonna have to try to rectify with 911. But we do have robocalls that we can put, certain addresses in, certain people's names in certain areas so that it actually goes out to those people if we have a current number. If you don't have a current number on file with us, you might want to come in and make sure that you got a current number. I don't need to take over, but
That's all right. Well, I'll finish up. Like the mayor had said, folks, we had, rookies out working on a leak. And I will tell you, they did a commendable job. They worked hard. They got things put back together again as quickly as they could. We're growing them in-house right now. I will tell you, we have a class 1 operator. Actually, we now have 2 class 1 operators that started out as operators in training. And this is the kind of people that we need, people that we can depend on 24 hours a day, because you never know when something can happen, particularly like that day, that morning, or somebody goes by and takes a fire hydrant out. You got the same kind of an issue going on there. So with that, again, tomorrow at 2 o'clock will be our water committee meeting. And of course, we are open to the public. Yes, ma'am.
Man.
Yes, ma'am.
When you shut down for the new pipe they're laying in, I know it's gonna be 522 south, but is there like a central shut-off point? Like, do you know like how far up it's going to affect?
Yes, we know exactly where that valve is at, and I do believe that valve is at the booster station. So, which is right across the street from Sheets. You should not be affected. Your office should be fine. Your potty will work.
I can do it. Important. I can get my coffee. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
All right, come to the point in the meeting where I need to ask council if there's anything else that they need to bring up during this meeting. If not, I will open it up to the floor. Anybody on council have anything that they need?
I would like to thank Greg for all the hard work that he's been doing on the
Absolutely.
budget.
Amen.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time since we've had any kind of review. We've been trying to keep our fees and our rates low, but unfortunately, the last time that we raised garbage rates was, 2009 or some 2010. And fuel is not at 2010 rates, nor is the maintenance on the truck. So it's not easy doing this, but it's a really necessary thing that we're doing.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We really appreciate it, diving into it. Okay, anybody else on council have anything? If not,
Chuck?
Just a suggestion, if you, based on your problem, if you have to go down to the highway department to explain what went on, is in my prior life as a systems, principal systems engineer, PMP, and a Six Sigma professional. Have you ever used the Nishikawa diagram, cause and effect diagram, to figure out what went wrong and then write like a 1-page lessons learned based on that diagram? It'll go a long way to show due diligence.
Take a look.
let me ask you, if we need any information or any help, will you help us? I don't know if Pete will need any help, but we can always, we could use any type of help we can get so that we could, do that. So,
We'll see.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just remember, everybody starts at $50 an hour.
You pay us.
I missed out.
Okay, anybody else that wants to speak? Okay, I will ask the council for a common consent to adjourn.
So moved.
For an adjournment.
You're very welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Mary.